Hello everyone, it's KK Blue with the channel Magic Mango, back with another video. Please like and subscribe and comment below. Standard rotation is coming up. So, I got 5 decks here that I think will be really good post-rotation. They're pretty much all original decks, with a couple of the decks being based off of existing decks in the meta. This one is not one of those. This is Mono Blue Tempo, Artifact Tempo thing. It's, honestly, I already play this in Standard Ranked, and it has like a 67% win rate. It's already really good. I love this deck. You always have cards in your hand, you always have options, and it's just endless value. You can go up against control, and you can you can grind out control in the late game, and aggro, you got life gain here, you have card advantage, so you can buy just enough time. This can tap something. Sometimes you can race aggro and you just win the race. I mean, Patchwork Automaton is so good in this deck. And then you just have so much value. You can beat almost any mid-range deck. Take their bigger spells with Disruption Protocol. Moonsnare Prototype can get rid of anything to swing in, pretty much. Because that's just so much value. And then you have the -2, where you can get something. You can get your Moonsnare Prototype to become a 4/4 and swing in for 4. And it stays a 4/4. And then against control, if you can get the emblem or just the +1s, are so good. And I mean, it's so much value. I love this deck. Reality Chip, you can, if you can get that attached, then reconfigured, then you can just cast spells off the top of your library, and it's so nice. Disdainful Stroke is just like time. And then Reality Heist, I might actually bump up to Zed's take out 1 Reality Heist, but it is 2 mana, basically draw 2 cards. But it is basically draw 2 cards. It's not as good as you quite think it is, because sometimes you end up grabbing a land in a thing, and it's a small thing, not always like 2 really big threats. But Covert Technician, whatever, that overperforms so much. Because the Ninjutsu with Circuit Mender, you get to draw a card for value. You can do it to the Bank Buster, so you can reset it against control. But what usually happens is you get a Network Disruptor on the field. Turn 2, Covert Technician into this one, where it's basically 2 mana, draw 2 cards, if you get that. Reality Chip, which is a blocker in the early game against aggro, and then just gives you so much value against control or against mid-range, from the reconfigure, where you're just casting spells off the top of your library. Another great thing to get down is sometimes you get to put a Patchwork Automaton in play, which is one of the best plays you can make. Because turn 1, Network Disruptor. Turn 2, Covert Technician. And then you return Network Disruptor to your hand, swing in there, get in for 2, get a Patchwork Automaton on the field. Next turn, you can cast this, and another 1/1 drop, or this, and any of the Artifact 2 drops it will trigger, which we have a ton. This is sort of a 2 drop and sort of not, so I'm not going to put it in the stack. Or you can get this or another Covert Technician, and no matter what, it buffs it. Plus it has Ward 2, so it's incredibly hard to deal with in the early game. I love this deck. I hope you guys try it out. I'm probably most excited about this and the control deck, because it's me. But yeah. Okay. Next deck. Mono White, not that interesting. It's a different take on it. It's more of a Mono White mid-range, honestly. We have it's based off of the Mono White aggro, mixed a little bit with, like, the idea of being a little more grindy. I have tried this out, It's not, it is quite good. I mean, you have value, so you can just, you can grind out the mid-range decks a bit more. And actually, Welcoming Vampire really overperformed. It works really well with Wedding Announcement and stuff. And so, I quite like this deck. It's not my thing. It's not as enjoyable to play for me as the last one, but it is just as good. And the thing is, we have, like, these, like, high mana value things, and they get so much value. This one works with creatures. This can get something to fly over for the win. We all know Wandering Emperor is good. I feel like this guy didn't get a chance to shine, because it is really good, and you can, like, with a removal, or sometimes a board wipe if it needs to be. It's just very good. And then we have Thalia. I'm not sure if we should be playing Thalia, honestly, because we have quite a few non-creature spells. But it's there. It's just such a good card. Hopeful Initiate is, like, we all know that's amazing. It's a pretty standard mono white deck, honestly. It is playing 23 lands, because we do have high mana value cards. We have the Adversary, which we can always sink mana into, and a ton of 3-drops. So that's pretty much where we're at. It's a quite good deck. I hope you guys try this out too. Yeah. Now we have my favorite, Mono Red. I actually think this is a really good deck. Sadly, I don't enjoy playing Mono Red that much, but I have tried this out quite a bit. And it steals a lot of wins from decks that need to set up. Because right now, there is a lot of those. There's control decks that need to get a sweeper down. And we have things that bounce back to your hand. And things that can dodge a sweeper very easily. And things that don't care about the sweeper thing. So, it's a powerful deck. It's an aggro deck. You get in there, swing for a ton, win on turn 3, turn 4 sometimes, turn 5 at latest. It's very nice. This is, like, our value stuff that we can, like, for the late game are this things. Abandoned Post for against creature decks, where it goes a little later because you got the flashback there. This gets you to the value cards actually quite nicely, so I think it's worth playing. Aside from this is just like, Mono Red, kill your face. This is a value card in the late game though, because you get a blood token so you can discard and draw. Actually, and then this is too. I think the 5 mana creating a 5/5 is actually really good. So the fact that people aren't playing this in Mono Red as much makes me sad. But also you can get all creatures you control to gain haste until end of turn. That is very good. Hopefully you know what Cemetery Gatekeeper does, but basically its extra damage can be to you too, which will be sad. Be aware of that, please. So if you're against aggro, yeah, that happens. So, yep. That's the deck. Going to the next one. This is, I love playing this. This is like one of my favorites to play, because it's so much cards. You have, the idea is you have these cards. Wait, where's the other of these cards? There's the other of these cards. So these are, the 2-drops are the more important ones. Delver's just there because we need another creature. But, so to start, we have this thing. Whenever something targets it, whenever you cast a spell that targets it, you draw a card. So that's really good with things that buff, things that protect, just things like that. Whenever went back. There we go. Come on. Okay. Here we go. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell you control, it connives. And it has double strike, so that's a lot of extra damage. And this with buff spells is super good. Delver, we just got a lot of instant sorceries. Okay, so this is where the deck gets interesting. We need to keep these on the field, so we have things like Slip Out the Back, which, we get value off with these, but that can also target your opponent's creature so you don't lose the game. This is just extra damage, pretty much, and cards, and you get to connive, and if the creature dies, you can get a 1/1 out of it sometimes. Hopefully it doesn't die. Yeah, Boon of Safety, other protection spell. Super, super good. You get to scry 1. It's another thing that targets it. This gives it, if it attacks alone, it can't be blocked. Often, you're attacking alone because you have 1 creature. Sometimes you have 2, and it makes this a more sad card. But often you have 1. And then, when it deals combat damage, it connives. Ooh, it connives. That's a lot of damage. We also have this. It's a protection spell. It can get +2/+2, or +3/+3, because we have this guy this guy. It has flashback, more value. We all know what this can. It can be a protection spell. It can get something off the field. Removal. That's the deck. I hope you guys try it. Beware, you can do this to your own stuff. And please do if it's under, a removal spell and you have nothing else to protect it with. Yeah. That is the deck. And then this is probably my favorite out of all of them. I love this one a lot. It is my terrible creation that everyone will hate me for. Hopefully. Because y'all will go out and play it. Maybe. I love this. It's very, very good. I think this is the best out of all of them. Just basically the idea is you're casting a lot of instant sorcery spells. So you got Puppet Stitcher. So you get a lot of 2/2s, which will become 3/3s, which will swing in for lethal on sometimes 1 turn. And you got Leer, and a lot of ways to protect it. That's the main part of the deck. So, maybe you guys haven't seen this card, because it's super good. You hopefully have. CGP played it a couple months ago, I think, in a Leer package, and I think that's the place for it. That's a really good home for it, because if you get your own permanent, then you get to draw a card. But you can also take care of someone else's, your opponent's, something, which is very good, because that can get an enchantment off the field or something. To start, don't cut the Puppet Stitcher. This is the most important card of the deck. Why am I only playing 2? Well, I could play 3, but I'm also playing Leer. I'll get to why in a second. Well, why not now? To start, 2. Because you're gonna get to it. Because we got Consider. We have Fading Hope. We get to scry with that. And we got Memory Deluge. And say we don't get to it, Leer is almost as important. But also, if we're between having a Puppet Stitcher in our hand and having something we could protect it with, like these guys, we'd rather have 1 and 1. Here. We'd rather have one of these and one of those in our hand. Now, it's better to have the Fading Hope than the Puppet Stitcher if you get a choice of 1 spell, because your Fading Hope can also get your opponent's stuff and buy you time, which time is really important here. And a Fading Hope in your graveyard, you can cast back with the Leer, which is why we're playing Leer. So, this is the main way to get lethal, but Leer can just take over a game. So that's why that exists. Basically, you want a hand, usually with one of the discard spells, hopefully a Fading Hope or a Geist Wave, Sometimes Make Disappear. Make Disappear is relevant, by the way, because you get the 2/2s that you don't usually need that much. And you have hopefully like a removal spell or two. That's a great hand. Sometimes you'll have one of your 2 threats. I mean, Junji, by the way, that's a great threat. And you can get, honestly, I think the more important is the fact that the discard too. But you can also grab a Malevolent Hermit, a Poppet Stitcher, or a Leer. Usually a Poppet Stitcher, because those die sometimes, sadly. But it's just, like, a thing of so much value. I love Poppet Stitcher. I hope you guys play this deck. This is, like, overperformed in the meta now. Currently, I've only tried it in 4 games. That's true. But it's won every single one. And it doesn't lose to mid-range. Like, ever. At least in my experience. Again, I've only played 4 games. I love this deck so much. I, like, made it yesterday. And I love it already. So I hope you guys try this. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.